and Investments Company Limited. Me, your name na Khadija Tubari, the Media Officer for Global Salon Property and Investments Company Limited. We understand say most of the viewers and customers not get the time and energy for can view the features of a specific property where we don't list or either up for sale or rent na we website. For ease from this burden, we decide for come up with this project where we title Property Tour Series. Inside this series, you dey get the opportunity for view all the features then, the necessary features the way you need for know about a specific location or property where we don't list or either up for sale. Inside today's series, we want to tour with una a specific, awesome and beautiful property. This property located na IMAT, back of American Embassy, Akon Drive, Sierra Estate. This property is divided into 3 segments. We have the top floor, the down floor, and the basement. There are 7 rooms in total, 3 upstairs, 2 downstairs, 2 in the basement. Welcome. We're inside the compound of this property. Immediately when you enter inside the compound, you will notice a very spacious space where they enable you for park up to 5 cars. And amazingly, they get a unique space for the security, where they enable them for get a comfortable site for stay and ensure say it able regulate going out and coming in of visitors. Una, come with me, make we go view the remaining features inside this property. Welcome to this amazing living room sanctuary, where lifestyle meets relaxation. This living room consists of a huge space with comfortable chairs, aesthetic ceiling lights, a huge television, and a center table. Unleash culinary creativity in a kitchen that blends functionality and sophistication. This kitchen consists of a brand new cooking stove, oven, refrigerator, tap, and different cabinets to store foodstuffs. Our dining room seamlessly complements the heart of your home, creating a space where every meal is a celebration. This dining area consists of a huge table with comfortable chairs and amazing lighting system. Indulge in a symphony of sophistication as you explore our meticulously designed rooms. Each space is a canvas of luxury, where modern aesthetics dance with timeless elegance. Discover the heart of living, where comfort, style, and functionality converge seamlessly in every room, creating a harmonious sanctuary for your lifestyle. Master bedroom consists of a spacious space with bed, fluffy curtains, and aesthetic lights. Unwind in a space that transcends the ordinary, where every moment becomes a pampering experience. Welcome to our sanctuary bathrooms, where comfort and elegance effortlessly coexist. In this master bedroom, we have a huge bathtub, wash and basin, showers area, water heater, and a bidet. In the other bathrooms, we have the showers area, wash and basin, bidet, and water heater. It's an open space concept. This space can be used as a cinema, an office area, or play area for the kids. After a stressful day or a stressful week, we all deserve a relaxation day. Amazingly, this property creates that platform there for you. We get a very unique swimming area where they enable you for just relax and have your moments. This property comes with a convenient spot where you can relax and enjoy yourself after a hectic day or week. Dive into the world of serenity and leisure in our stunning swimming area. Get time for relax, have fun, and amazingly, then get a space for a little get together with friends or family, or even you, where you can just come, sit, relax, and get good ventilation and all of that. This property is very much unique and is so aesthetic. There is electricity and water supply. To enable the stability of electricity 24/7, there is a standby generator and huge miller tanks that supply water inside the house. This property comes with a full package consisting of air conditioners in each and every room and the living rooms. This property has a space to help you ignite your fitness journey. Unleash your potential in a fitness sanctuary designed to inspire and elevate your everyday workouts. This is the perfect place for you to have your family and friends to savor both cuisine and companionship. So viewers, we don't come to the end of this tour. You self don't see how easily this property dey for access and also how beautiful this property dey. As soon as see, now a fully furnished property. If you want rent now, so you don't even need for go buy all them other things there for decorate the home. You just need for pack your stuffs and come in. Now a fully furnished property. If you interested in this property, kindly visit we office now 49 Circular Road, 3rd floor, or you check we website now www.globalsalon.com. Not forget to for check we YouTube account for all the information them when you need on property tours them na salon. I have been your amazing presenter, Khadija Tuba. Hello and welcome to the Focus on Real Estate live talk show, where we provide valuable knowledge and information on laws, regulations, and procedures on buying, selling, renting, and leasing all types of properties. This show hosts different guests who are experts to share their knowledge and experiences on issues relating to the real estate industry. We also look at what the government and other institutions are doing to help solve many problems relating to the real estate industry. Problems like county planning, environmental protection, and many more. In today's 10th episode, we are going to be looking at what are the reasons for significant discrepancies in the valuation report in Sierra Leone, looking at the factors and solutions. In Sierra Leone's real estate market, the issue of substantial variation in property valuation has been a persistent challenge. These disparities not only surprise property owners, but also undermine confidence in the valuation process. In this program, we will delve into the key factors contributing to these discrepancies and propose potential solutions for property valuers, professional associations, property owners, and the government to address this issue. In order for us to understand this topic better, we have with us a real estate consultant with over 7 years of experience in the real estate industry. He is also the managing director at Global Salon Property and Investment Company Limited. His name is Mr. Ismail Umar Sheku Kebe. Hello and welcome to the show. Unmute your mic, sir. Hello. I can't hear you, sir. I can't hear you, sir. Hello, Mr. Kebe. No, I can't hear you, sir. Check your headset. Unmute your mic, sir.
Hello, good afternoon, Khadija.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Welcome, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you now. Welcome.
All right. Thank you very much for thank you very much for having
Yes,
me
sir.
this afternoon.
So okay. And you're welcome. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, our topic of discussion today is centered around looking at the reasons for significant discrepancies in the valuation report in Sierra Leone, looking at the factors as well as the solutions. So over the years, there has been report cases of huge variation in valuation reports. What do you think are the primary factors that contribute to significant variation in property valuations within Sierra Leone's real estate market?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Valuation, before I go direct to your questions, we want to speak a little bit about valuation as a sector, as a professional practice. Valuation, just like accounting, is being regulated by International Valuation Standard, which has over 137, 200 members, organizations in more than 137 countries across the world. This valuation standard, just like accounting standards, like the IFRS and IAS previously, they are meant to actually guide the valuation process and create confidence in terms of valuation report across the nations. So this valuation standard also actually serve as a guide for valuers deciding over the valuation process, the intent of the property, the purpose of valuations, and what the the values are. So when you follow this valuation process, there's is chances that valuation conducted by different valuers would actually arrive at a very close values. But unfortunately, in our own situation, Sierra Leone, most times you see a huge variations in terms of values because for the first reasons we don't have any kind of valuation standard country-wise, and there is not a strict procedures in terms of compliance with international valuation. So there is this lack of standard, which are the primary reason for the variations. Valuation standard range from one of by international IVS, international valuation standard, which is IVS 100 to IVS 500. Yes, so you have at every stage you have what standard actually state in terms of basis of values. How do you determine which kind of approach you use in a certain valuations, or the properties involved or the interest involved in the property? So these actually guides you in terms of what kind of basis you should use in terms of developing evaluation approach. So if you have, for example, IVS 100, which is valuation framework, you would use that IVS to determine what kind of framework this valuation require. What is the purpose of valuations, and what are the data available, and what kind of approach at the end of the day I would determine using IVS 102 with the basis of values. So these valuation standard actually guide you throughout the valuation process, from developing a scope of work to having a report submitted to the client. So because really we don't have these valuation standards, so there's tendencies that people will play around the valuation approach and methodology as well as the basis of values. Secondly, uh, this valuation standard in our country base, it has to do with data collections and inspections, which is very lacking in our countries in terms of what is the recent sale value, rental values. Because of the information most time that are available are incomplete, so valuers are actually at the mercy to decide which kind of approach they will use at the end of the day. Because for every approach you want to use, for example, if it's a market approach, you must have a recent sales or market rental market value of that particular neighborhood. Or if you are using income approach, you must have to determine the income that property generating at the end of the day. Well, if you should be also be able to forecast what are the income the property is generating over time. So you'll be able to use income approach. Cost approach, for example, actually deal with replacement values, and this approach actually said nobody would want to buy a property that he also can have in a lesser cost in an alternative way. For example, if a property listed for $500,000 and you looking at the constituents of that property, I can have a land in a lesser price and have a similar property develop in that particular land in a reasonable one compared to what you are asking. Then why should I go ahead and buy your property? Instead, I will be at the constraint, go ahead and buy the property, be it my own with a recent design. So because of lack of data, valuers actually cannot actually pinpoint one particular approach, because the approach that most time appropriate for a particular valuation process, data is not available for it. So what we have, this replacement value bias in the countries, it has a reason as well, because most of the valuers I have interfaced with in Sierra Leone, they have engineering bias, meaning they are either engineers or they are quantity surveyors. And quantity surveyor and engineering are different. Valuation actually look at whether it is a market approach you want to adopt. Then you must have a recent sales. You must have a rental market. You must have recent sales that are complete, meaning for a similar property that you can compare with. So because of lack of this data, these are all the reasons why valuers actually have to make a judgment in terms of approach. Thirdly, the subjectivity of the valuations. And valuation, unlike other practices, having even you have data for evaluation for what kind of approach you want to use. At the same time, you have determined based on the characteristics of the property, this is market approach best for this property. You have to involve judgment and interpretation of the data, because inspections is a valuer's opinions, market trend is a value opinion base. So I would have to like inspect a property, determine the kind of finishes comparable to that of property or comparable property. So valuers would have to always make judgment in the process. So that subjectivity in terms of interpreting the data collected for that property, most time valuers have variations. So based on the judgment, you see different value for a single property. And lastly, but not the least, the external influences. External influences play a huge role in valuations. Valuation, because it has to do with market data, most times in terms of the economy of the country is influenced by the property. The political stability of the country also influenced by the values. And market speculations. Market speculation actually refers to what the market is moving towards. For example, when there was like a government announcement that the Lunge Bridge will be constructed, most of the properties along Tagrin up to Lunge, the skyrocketed, because everybody is perceiving that once this bridge is constructed and the value of property along the highways would go up. So because of that market speculations, you see increased valuation. Valuers would have to tend to increase the prices of those values. So these three factors, they are the major problems why valuation in Sierra Leone is widely there's a wide discrepancy between values in Sierra Leone. So, one, lack of standard, limited data availability, subjectivity of the valuation process, and the external influences. So, to speak about the reasons why there is a significant differences in valuations, I think and I believe these are the four primary reasons.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kebe. So, how do you believe the absence of standardized valuation methods and practices impacts the accuracy and consistency of property valuations in Sierra Leone?
Yeah, like I said, valuation standards are actually meant to guide valuers in terms of the approach they will use, the basis of values, the data collection and inspection, as well as report writing. So, if there is no standard in terms of guiding this process, so valuers at the end of the day is at the mercy to select any kind of standard they ought to be comfortable with. So if there is a property, retail property, which we know the most appropriate approach for retail property is income approach. And income approach would you would have to have like the income this property is generating over time, and you should be able to forecast the income of that property in the future. So that income is actually discounted to have a net present value of that income. So this is a capitalization rate. But what's happening in Sierra Leone, because of lack of standard, and there is no standard regulations that actually guide valuers national wise in terms of this are the approach you should use in these situations. In this kind of property, this is the approach you should use. For example, there is a Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors guidelines, which refer to the red books. And this red book actually guide valuers in each situations what you need to do. For the after developing a scope of work in terms of the intent of the client, say I'm doing a valuation for sale, I'm doing a valuation for foreclosure, I'm doing valuation for leasehold valuation, my leasehold interest in this property. So, with regards to all these terms or scope of the work, you should be able to determine this is the appropriate approach. Then then secondly, you would have to actually, is there any data available for this particular approach? If there is no data, what kind of alternative approach is best applicable in this situation? Thirdly, if there are times the information is limited, therefore you need to actually decide what two approaches you can use in order to have the most appropriate value for this property. So sometimes valuer may use one or two approach for a single valuation. This one is acceptable. So because of there is no standard, what I've seen over the years in most of the valuations or I have involved in, or some of the valuation I have reviewed, I have seen you will see like data is available for this particular property, but it's not unknown to the valuer. So what they would do, they will either decide to do what is most simple in Sierra Leone, the cost approach or the replacement value approach. They would have the value for the land and also estimate the construction value of the building structures, and they have the value. But however, that is the cost of the property. Cost of the property is not the same as value, because might be properties, location has to do with location has a greater influence on the properties. Then also the market economy also has a greater influence on the property. The income generated by that property has influence on the property. So you cannot just rely on a cost approach in order to determine the values. For example, a property along the Wilkinson Road and a property along Kisi Road, they might have the same designs on total lot, the same finishes, the same design, absolutely everything is the same. So just because of locations differences or economic activities or the income, possible income generated by that property, the value will be actually different. So using that replacement value across the board for valuers in silos, I think is a one of the cause of major cause of lack of standard that actually giving rise to the greater variations in Sierra Leone property market. I have been contacted on several occasions by experts from Nigeria, Ghana, as well as in UK. They ask him why there is someone they contracted for evaluations and this the value they give. And for us, we think this value is very high or this value is very low. What do you think? And I know, of course, valuation certifications across every country has their own valuation standard, sometime or policies or regulations that actually in line with the international valuation standard. For example, in the UK, where I got my certificate, I realized that during the process, most of the approaches they were saying for this particular property, this is the best approach you should use. I realized that over the years, well, within the 5 years I've been practicing valuation as a trainee, most of these approaches were not applicable. So immediately after graduation, I had to go for internship for an evaluation company, different from Global Salon. Let me see what is the difference, why the valuations in this country are varied. And this is what I found out. Because of reliance on a particular approach, uh, that's the reason why the valuation is always different. For instance, Standard Chartered Bank also had evaluations done in one of their leasehold interest property, and the value actually adopted a cost approach, which is very, very, very unlikely. So at the end of the day, the value they got is quite different from what the value, the professional valuer from UK got. So I realized that this was the greater difference because of we don't have a standard in our own country. So therefore, valuers do not have choice, but also follow the inherent approach they're comfortable with.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kebe. So, what measures do you think could be implemented by
property valuers, professional associations, and the government to address these challenges associated with valuation discrepancies?
Yeah, the solution is very simple. I have raised three or four problems where I refer to them as the major or the primary reason for discrepancies. And I believe addressing these four challenges or these problems, I think the solutions most likely or largely will be addressed. First, adoption of international valuation standard. With this one has to do with policies from the government, involvement of the association which is not in existence, of valuers in the country. They would have to like sit down on the drawing tables, draw out what based on our own situations, what is the best approach for residential buildings, for facility valuation, meaning a bank want to give loan to particular individual, and that property that individual own a residential property. What is the best approach? And having a guideline that is actually in line with international valuation standard is key. Then secondly, we also buy into other professional association valuation standard. For example, the RICS Red Book. We can say for every valuations you need to follow strictly. We were going to adopt at professional level the Red Book, the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors Red Books. So every valuation, we're going to review it based on this approach. So if it's not in line with risks, then meaning the valuation has a problem. So in that case, you would have to explain to all the basis that you use in terms of valuations, how do you determine the approach, and why did you choose this approach and not this one. I think if we can have that one heads on or solve, then of course the problem of standardization would have been solved. Then secondly, we need to enhance the data infrastructure because data is one of the biggest issue in terms of recent sales rental, because this country we have this archaic way of looking at things, meaning we see property as a something classified information. So you don't sell a property and you reveal the sales price or the what you are earning from a property, the rental price. All these are actually a secret or classified information. It should not be that way, because once the data is not available, people cannot make a decision. So to make the market a little bit perfect, we need to actually have develop a central database where we can actually access recent sale, rental, whatever trend that is going on in terms of the property market. So that will guide us in terms of coming up with a valuation approach on the basis of value. Thirdly, training certification, because for this country we don't have any kind of training center for valuers from all universities, from all institutions. We don't have a valuation training center. So if you want to be trained and certified, you would have to actually look elsewhere in Nigeria, in Ghana, as well as in UK and other countries. So all these countries have evaluations actually body, as well as training centers where you can be trained and you go through the process of certification and approval process for you to have the evaluation certificate or national valuer certificate. So because this is not in existence, so it's very, very difficult for us to have a conclusive approach in terms of who is qualified to do evaluations of certain nature and or who is not. So valuation, or like real estate agent, you cannot just dream one night and become a valuer the next day. So what's happening in the agency? So you really need to to have been trained, certified, and you also have to go undergo training process, just like the bar associations or the accounting professions. So once you graduate, you need to go through the standard. For example, what I did, I realized that the UK's way of inspections, like for you want to inspect or measure retail buildings, you have to use GNI, the gross net values. You want to use factory, you also gross external area. So all these measurements have to be guided. You really need to be guided in terms of how to conduct valuation in country. So even though you have been qualified from elsewhere, you need to understand how things are done in Sierra Leone. So because of this training and certification, most valuers, they have the Western training, or elsewhere and they are finding it difficult to adopt those training in our own context. So this is one of the major reasons why even the most trained and certified valuers, they have these variations in terms of their value, because they don't have a uniform way of approach deciding approaches or basis of value. So when we have a training and certification center in Sierra Leone that has a national agenda, then definitely we're going to have this problem also solved. Lastly, stakeholders and collaborations. Stakeholder collaborations. We really need to have the government, the professional association of valuers, as well as other stakeholders in terms of the NRA or the government or other agencies who are dealing with valuation, like the bank and and others. So we really need to have this stakeholders assessment of the approaches, whether the approaches that we are using is actually appropriate for the country, because I have realized in some of the client that this property was valued for facility in so and so and so. At the end of the day, we put this property on the market for over 2 years. Nobody is willing to offer the price, even the price they said is a for sale value, simply because they use the cost approach, which is very, very, very much far from the reality in the market. So at the end of the day, even it is a for sale value, nobody is willing to pay for it. For sale value actually is the value the market is readily willing to pay in a very competitive market. Once you introduce the property, this is for sale, there are hundreds or thousands of buyers uh, coming up for this property. So if you put a property at a for sale value, or let's say a foreclosure value, and nobody is willing to buy it, then that property value, that there is a problem with that valuation, because a for sale value is always below the market value. So because of we don't have this uniform approach from the stakeholder perspective, what the government needs to do in terms of policies, and what the professional association also need to do in terms of guiding the process, and what our interest, the interest of also the clients, who are the banks and other institutions that are, or the court system that are dealing with valuations, is not actually addressed, then at the end of the day, the valuers, the big head is actually left to the valuers, because they decide the approach, they decide the basis of value, and they also write their report. So we need to have this stakeholders approach to valuations. I believe these four approaches: adoption of valuation standard, enhancing data infrastructure, training and certification, and stakeholder collaboration, I believe this can address the issue of discrepancies in valuation report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kebe, for making these various suggestions. Basically, in your opinion, how crucial is the improvement of data infrastructure, including access to reliable and up-to-date information in reducing valuation variations?
Yeah, for instance, the access to data infrastructure is very crucial, just like any one of the four I have stated earlier, because access to data has two um, importance. One, the first one, you don't only use access to data for valuations. You use data for sales, you use data for rental, you use data for transfer of value. So at the end of the day, for leasehold, so if you are not, we don't have data, that means the entire market has issue, because in whatever respect, even not in valuations, but you want to determine what you should ask for your property, or what the government want to determine how the economy is doing, then what is the effect, or the researchers or the academics want to actually conduct a research on the property market, there is no data available. And I had been having an engagement with certain professional regarding valuation across the country and 5 different districts. It was a hell for me, because there was no data available. So most of the information you present is limited. So there is a question of how many data you collected for these informations. I said, data is not available. So I'm assuming this cluster way of assessing data survey. So if I had value for 3 different districts out of 5, then I think that data is reliable. It's very few, but for us to generalize it, but that's what available. So data is very important. So it's high time the government, as well as professional associations embark on surveys. We at Global Salon, we have made several attempts in terms of collecting data for changes in prices, increase in prices of rentals, increase in prices of rentals. What are the most important areas, and why must someone don't buy land in those areas and this area? So there are many surveys we have attempted conducting, but at the end of the day, because the perception of people not giving information during survey is actually limiting the industry, and not even in real estate, across the board in agriculture. Because one of the violation I was involved in has to do with crop compensation. So there is no information in terms of crop values. You see, what's the value of a particular crops? Like for example, mango. What is the annual yield? How much is being sold in the market? And what is the quantity packaging that if sell in dozen, if sell in blind, in kilogram? These are all information not available from the government, from NGO. Nobody is collecting this data. So I think data collection, data infrastructure is a key. Is let me say is an emergency. We all need to consider it as a lack, because lack of data, meaning we cannot evaluate, we cannot plan, and we cannot focus. It's just not. It's just horrible, because if you don't have data, it affects all sectors. any any sector that want to use that information, you cannot. Government doesn't plan in terms of building permit, because you don't have the construction data. You don't have license for uh, particular infrastructure development in the area. For example, in god rich areas, how many structures that are going up, what was with the sales price, development, what the construction cost in those areas. So lack of data is an emergency in Sierra Leone. It's an epidemics or pandemics in epidemics in Sierra Leone, because data means everything. And I hold data at high esteem at all levels, even at in organizational decision making, because it's only when you have data, you know what is wrong, you know what to improve, and what what went wrong. So because of we don't have data in the real estate market, is meaning the market is still very underdeveloped. So the access to data, or building a data infrastructure, is very, very important for us to have a turnaround in the real estate market.
Wow, thank you very much for that detailed explanation. I believe these informations will be very much useful to our viewers out there. Finally, Mr. Kibe, from your experience, what role do you see stakeholders collaboration playing in resolving valuation challenges, and how can valuers, professional associations, and government entities effectively collaborate to achieve this goal?
Yeah. Also, the looking at the four problems I've stated earlier, each of these individuals you've mentioned, or organizations you have mentioned, they have a role to play. So each of these problems has an approach wherein the government, both the government, the professional associations, and other stakeholders may likely influence for us to have these issues corrected or actually addressed. So for example, standardization practice, government first need to realize that it's long overdue for us to have a evaluations, a real estate sector look at from a holistic point of view, that what the contribution of the real estate market into the economy. I have been following up for over the 3 years in terms of the GDP and what the contribution the real estate, the tourism sector is contributing to the economy. I think I don't know how those data will arrive at, but for me, I still don't know the source of those data and why did they think this percentage actually contributed to the GDP, because we don't know the upstreams, the supply, the real estate economy is providing, because the income from household income is not collected, is very dangerous. We don't have the construction permit issue. We don't have the total title registered per year for every district. Is not issued. The building permit, the occupancy permit, also the sales transactions, how many property we are sold, for that year. Again, what was the sales average for particular property. So if government want to actually project what the real estate transaction, the CGT, the capital gain tax from real estate, they actually need to know the transaction level, so that at the end of the day, when developing the government project, they will know each year we have an average of 500 building permit issued, and out of this 500 building permit issue, we have like that 70% construction. That's like 500, we have like 35, 350 houses that issue occupancy permit. So at the end of the day, you know exactly how the permit is actually reflected to occupancies. At the end of the day, city council can calculate the rate, the expected rate per annum from those developments. So all this data is not available. So first, in terms of standardizations, government need to look at this as a potential industry. First, look at what policy or regulation we can put into this industry in order for us to have first the professional associations that can actually regulate, monitor the daily activities of real estate participants. From there, we have a legislative body or that is overseeing the operation of these professional institutions, just like the bar association, the accounting professions. So like I said, look, so this is not lacking. So once we have those structure in place, then developing a standard practice would be very easier, because each and every lawyer, journalist, and accountant know exactly what is expected of them, in terms of practices, in terms of confidentiality, in terms of ethics. So because of this standardization is lacking, and I think government really need to look into it properly. Once government start looking at this one as a potential as well challenge, as well as potential for revenue generation, then government would have played their part. Then secondly, data infrastructure. The real estate professional really need to look at data as a key. I would encourage each and every real estate company to start looking at conducting surveys in terms of recent sales, in terms of rental prices in various locations. So at the end of the day, once we gather together, we can share this data. We can give access to this data. And the opportunity is you can even develop this database and give a certain fee for access. Yeah, you can sell this data to other operators, even to government. So there is an opportunity in data collections. So investing in the professional development, the institutions like, for example, FBC, Milton Magai, and other institutions might look at this one as an opportunity. They have the architectural department, engineering department. They also need to have an estate department. There is no estate department in the whole and the entire Sierra Leone. So is they need to look at real estate development. I think there is a guy that I know, who graduated 1948, 1940 or 1958 from Nigeria, meaning estate management from Nigeria. So Nigerians and others have been looking at estate are so important since 1950s and 1970s, and up to now we don't have even estate BSc in estate management, real estate education or property management, and a proper way that has to do with international, modern international practices. So there is no in existence. So professional development might actually play a key role that it might also make these problems a very simpler to solve, because once people are enlightened, they know what the problems are, just like we as a global challenge are looking at it now, then we'll have simple solutions. But at that stage, when we don't know the requirement of change and the urgency of change, so the tendency that we might change at the end of the day is very limited. Lastly, collaboration, fostering collaboration from at all levels is very important. So we need to see ourselves now as a development partners in terms of addressing these situations, what the roles the institutions, real estate institutions can play, agents can play, the NRA can, even the registration department, Roxy, because they also capture data in terms of title deeds, the city council, they all have in terms of rate, the Ministry of Land in terms of building permits. So the time we start looking at it as a collaborative way of solving, addressing the problem become lighter and simpler. So I also encourage each of these players to look at this problem as very urgent and that need address. And at the end of the day, there's also an opportunity in terms of addressing this issue. Lastly, before I go, I conducted a survey for Center for Affordable Housing Finance in Africa. We are actually we authored the 2023 yearbook. So the challenge the data is not available and accessing it is even difficult. And what you access at the end of the day, looking at the constraint, the head you went through, you just surprised because it's incomplete. So because people don't see it as a problem. So what they provide, they take pride in providing incomplete data to you. So it's very unbearable. So at the end of the day, I would encourage each of these players to look at these issues as very paramount, and solving it. Actually, we stand to gain a greater benefit from the process.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kebe. I believe you've dealt with this topic in depth, and these information, I believe, will serve as a starting point for us to see how best we can incorporate some of these standards that you've mentioned and stuff like that. Thank you so much for making it a point of duty to be here with us today. We hope to have you in our subsequent editions. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I thank you very much, Kaja, for having me.
Yes, sir. So this is how we have successfully come to the end of today's episode. If you have questions, comments, or recommendations, kindly forward them to us, and we promise to respond in our subsequent editions. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, subscribe, and click the notification bell to always be part of the process. I have been your amazing host, Khadija Tubari.
Hello and welcome to the Property Tour series with Global Salon Property and Investment Company Limited. Me, your name na Khadija Tubari, the Media Officer for Global Salon Property and Investment Company Limited. We understand that most of the viewers and customers not get the time and energy for can view the features of a specific property where we don't list or either up for sale or rent now we website. For ease from this burden, we decide for come up with this project where we title Property Tour series. Inside this series, you they get the opportunity for view all the features, then the necessary features the way you need for know about a specific location or property where we don't list or either up for sale. Inside today's series, we want to tour with you a specific, awesome and beautiful property. This property located na IMAT, back of American Embassy, Econ Drive, Sierra Estate. This property is divided into 3 segments. We have the top floor, the down floor, and the basement. There are 7 rooms in total, 3 upstairs, 2 downstairs, 2 in the basement. Welcome. We're inside the compound of this property. Immediately when you enter inside the compound, you will notice a very spacious space where they enable you for park up to 5 cars. And amazingly, they get a unique space for the security, where they enable them for get a comfortable site for stay and ensure say it able regulate going out and coming in of visitors. Una, come with me, make we go view the remaining features inside this property. Welcome to this amazing living room sanctuary, where lifestyle meets relaxation. This living room consists of a huge space with comfortable chairs, aesthetic ceiling lights, a huge television, and a center table. Unleash culinary creativity in a kitchen that blends functionality and sophistication. This kitchen consists of a brand new cooking stove, oven, refrigerator, tap, and different cabinets to store foodstuffs. Our dining room seamlessly complements the heart of your home, creating a space where every meal is a celebration. This dining area consists of a huge table with comfortable chairs and amazing lighting system. Indulge in a symphony of sophistication as you explore our meticulously designed rooms. Each space is a canvas of luxury, where modern aesthetics dance with timeless elegance. Discover the heart of living, where comfort, style, and functionality converge seamlessly in every room, creating a harmonious sanctuary for your lifestyle. Master bedroom consists of a spacious space with bed, fluffy curtains, and aesthetic lights. Unwind in a space that transcends the ordinary, where every moment becomes a pampering experience. Welcome to our sanctuary bathrooms, where comfort and elegance effortlessly coexist. In this master bedroom, we have a huge bathtub, wash and basin, showers area, water heater, and a bidet. In the other bathrooms, we have the showers area, wash and basin, bidet, and water heater. It's an open space concept. This space can be used as a cinema, an office area, or play area for the kids. After a stressful day or a stressful week, we all deserve a relaxation day. Amazingly, this property creates that platform there for you. We get a very unique swimming area where they enable you for just relax and have your moments. This property comes with a convenient spot where you can relax and enjoy yourself after a hectic day or week. Dive into the world of serenity and leisure in our stunning swimming area. Get time for relax, have fun, and amazingly, then get a space for a little get-together with friends or family, or even you, where you can just come, sit, relax, and get good ventilation and all of that. This property is very much unique and is so aesthetic. There is electricity and water supply. To enable the stability of electricity 24/7, there is a standby generator and huge Miller tanks that supply water inside the house. This property comes with a full package consisting of air conditioners in each and every room and the living rooms. This property has a space to help you ignite your fitness journey. Unleash your potential in a fitness sanctuary designed to inspire and elevate your everyday workouts. This is the perfect place for you to have your family and friends to savor both cuisine and companionship. So viewers, we don't come to the end of this tour. You self don't see how easily this property dey for access and also how beautiful this property dey. As una see, now a fully furnished property. If you want rent now, so you don't even need for go buy all them other things there for decorate the home. You just need for pack your stuffs and come in. Now a fully furnished property. If you interested in this property, kindly visit we office na 49 Circular Road, 3rd floor, or you check we website na www.globalsalon.com. Not forget to for check we YouTube account for all the information them when you need on property tours them na salon. I have been your amazing presenter, Khadija Tubari.